Introduction. The Chinese LD-10, LD stands for Lei Dian, meaning thunder and lightning, is an air-launched anti-radiation missile, ARM. It is a variant of the air-to-air SD-10A missile, but meant for suppression of enemy air defenses, SEAD. The LD-10 retains the overall aerodynamic layout of the SD-10A, but has the active radar seeker of the SD-10A replaced with a new passive radar homing seeker. The LD-10 has been designed such as to be retrofitted faster and with minimal modifications to launch platforms, which have been cleared for use with the SD-10A missile. These include the J8, J10, J11 and the JF17. The LD-10 was first revealed to the public in the 9th Zhuhai Air Show held in November 2012. SIPRI reports that Pakistan has received 50, out of 100 ordered, LD-10 anti-radiation missiles from China in 2014 and 2015. These missiles were ordered in 2011. Specifications of LD-10. Length, 3.93 meters. Diameter, 0.20 meters. Wingspan, 0.67 meters. Fin span, 0.75 meters. Weight, 199 kilograms. Warhead, 20 kilograms. Propulsion, solid dual-thrust rocket motor with lofted profile. Range, over 60 kilometers. Altitude, 21 kilometers. Speed, Mach 4. Press spacebar to continue. While for previous weapons training missions we have started on the air, near the targets, this time we will start with the engine running, but at a Napa Air Base. The reason is that the LD-10 missile has an INS guidance system to allow it to hit pre-planned targets without assistance from the launching aircraft. For this training mission, we want to show the INS alignment procedure that this weapon needs, but if we ask DCS to start on the air it will have already performed the alignment and we won't be able to see how it is done. We will attack two known locations where the enemy has set up early warning radars. On the briefing is a diagram of our flight route. One of the EWR is at waypoint 5 and the other is at waypoint 6. These are the primary targets and we will award you 25 points for the destruction of each. In addition, there are two SAM batteries near these radars, but we don't know their exact locations. They are to be considered secondary targets and you'll earn 15 points for each one that you manage to destroy. If you choose to perform the return trip, you will earn an additional 20 points if you land safely, back at Napa. Press spacebar, load armament. Contact the ground crew by using the T4 switch on the HOTAS, either COM1 or COM2 positions will do, or by pressing the / key. Press F11 to get to the main communications menu. Once on the main communications menu, press F8 to call the ground crew. Then, press F1, rearm and refuel. On the armament window that will show up, select the following items. Stations 1 and 7, air-to-air missile PL-5E2. Stations 2 and 6, dual-arm missiles LD-10. Stations 3 and 5 to 800 liters fuel tanks, for extended range. Station 4, SPJ pod, for self-protection. Set the internal fuel to maximum, and as we expect to deal only with radar SAMs, reduce the flares to 0, in order to load more chaff. Press spacebar to continue. Once the crew has finished the loading process, that can take a couple of minutes.
Rearming complete.
Load data cartridge. Whenever the aircraft is rearmed, you will need to reload the data transfer cartridge, DTC, with an updated version, handed to you by the ground crew. Insert the DTC cartridge on the slot at the right console. Click on the slot once. Click on the cartridge again, to load it onto the reader. Once properly inserted, the left MFCD will automatically show the DTC page, with the DTC locked message across it. On the left MFCD, click All to select all the data contained on the cartridge, as we need not only the weapons data, but also the navigation plan. Now, click ENT to load the cartridge contents onto the mission computer. The loading process lasts several seconds, during which the message DTC trans will be shown. Once the loading is finished, the message DTC locked will appear again.
Warning.
Press spacebar to continue.
Warning. 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 Warning.
When we load a data cartridge, the aircraft's mission
Warning.
computer updates its stores database with the details of the
Warning.
weapons that we now have on our stations. The alarm that you
Warning.
hear, and the config light on the warning panel, tells us that the
Warning.
FCS is not properly configured for the current loadout.
Warning.
Place the AA, AG and AG1,
Warning.
AG2 switches on the correct settings for our
Warning.
loadout. Before taxi checks, check that the parking brake switch is set to norm, and that the front lights are set to taxi. On the UFCP panel, confirm that the waypoint advance is set to auto. Press spacebar to continue. Set the next waypoint to 01 by clicking on the arrow, then input 01 on the UFC keypad, and then click the arrow again to enter the value. Check that there are no lights lit on the warning panel, on the bottom right side of the front panel. Press spacebar to continue. On the status panel, at the top right of the front panel, check that the pitch trim, roll trim and yaw trim indicators are lit. Press space on the status panel, check if the nose wheel steering, NSW, indicator is illuminated. If it is not, then activate the NWS on the HOTAS, or press left Alt plus T. Before starting to taxi, we should contact the air traffic controller, ATC, and request clearance. We will begin by tuning the COM1 radio to the ATC frequency. Today we are at Anapa Air Base and its ATC frequency is 250 MHz, corresponding to the preset 126. On the UFC panel, click on the return button, to make sure that we are at the UFCP main menu. Now, click on the arrow button next to the COM1 display. The remaining displays will show the current radio parameters of COM1. Click on the arrow again, to edit the selected preset of COM1. Once you see a cursor blink, use the UFCP keypad, to enter the desired preset, on this case 126. Once done, click the arrow button once more, to apply the input. OK, now that the radio is tuned to Anapa's ATC, click on the HOTAS COM1 button and the communications menu should appear on the screen. Click on F5, ATC. Click on F1 to select Anapa's ATC. Click F1 again, to request taxi clearance. After a few seconds, ATC should answer. Take note of which specific runway you're assigned. If ATC does not answer, it might be because there are other traffic on the taxiways. Wait a bit and it will clear you out as soon as the taxiways are free. Press spacebar once you've got clearance to taxi and take off. We are now ready to start the flight. Increase throttle and let the aircraft move forward. Once the aircraft is moving, press the wheel brakes to confirm their operation. Release the wheel brakes and resume the taxi. Be careful of other traffic that may be near you. Good. Now turn right and proceed along the taxiway, towards the runway. Stop just short of the runway, and then contact ATC to request permission to take off. Once permission has been granted, enter the runway, align on its center and stop there.
Infield 1-1, request takeoff. Infield 1-1, Anapa, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.77.
Takeoff check. Set navigation mode, using the HOTAS T1 switch or the number 1 key. While usually the takeoff can be done without using flaps, this time we are taking off at almost maximum weight, so we will lower the trailing edge flaps. Place the flaps switch on the down position. Okay, we are now ready for takeoff. Follow the usual procedure. 1. Hold wheel brakes, increase throttle to 80% RPM. Check instruments and alerts. If everything is well, release the brakes and accelerate to 100% RPM. Two. Reaching 120 knots, pull back softly on the stick until the aircraft on the air. 4. Retract the landing gear. 5.
Altitude.
Retract the flaps.
Altitude. Altitude.
Climb towards waypoint 01, at 3,000 feet altitude, with a speed of 350 knots. Now, turn right towards waypoint 02. Maintain 350 knots and 3,000 feet altitude. We will now enable the data link, but in order to do it safely, please first enable the autopilot. Good, now enable the Alt option, to maintain constant altitude while we adjust the data link. Now that the autopilot is active, we will set up the data link. Click on the arrow key twice, until a cursor appears on the display. Then input 199 using the keypad. Finally, click on the arrow again to enter the value. Next, click on the arrow to select master mode. Finally, click on the arrow to select Connect to the data link network. Perfect, the data link is now active. On the right, MFCD increase its scale to appreciate the data link information. We will now prepare our armament. First, make sure that the autopilot is still active. Next, select air-to-ground mode with the T1 down switch. Set master arm to R. On the SMS, we should power up our LD-10 missiles. Click the button next to power off, to energize the weapons and begin their INS alignment sequence. The missiles are now powered up and the align process has started. When the highlighted timer reaches 0, they will be fully aligned. In the meantime, we will explain the main parameters of the LD-10. Press spacebar to continue. Mode. The LD-10 has 3 modes of operation. ACT, active mode. This mode uses the INS of the weapon to head towards a pre-designated point and then look for radar emissions nearby. It is used against known enemy radar installations. We will use this mode against the enemy's EWR radars located at waypoints 5 and 6. SP, self-protect mode. Used against radars that are tracking or have locked our own aircraft. We will use this mode against any SAM we may encounter. PA, passive mode. On this mode, the LD-10 is launched on a heading where we suspect there might be enemy radars emitting. The missile will choose by itself which enemy radar to attack. For now, set the mode to SP. We will change it to ACT once we are near waypoint 5 and 6. Press spacebar. The remaining settings don't really apply to the LD-10, as we will never need to fire them in salvos. The highlighted item is the weapon type, confirming that we are setting up an LD-10 missile. We will now return to nav mode, while the LD-10 finishes its INS alignment. Select nav using the T1 middle switch on the HUDs, or the number 1 key. Now, turn left towards waypoint 3. Maintain 350 knots but begin a climb to 10,000 feet altitude, as we want to lure the enemy radars into action so that we can begin to detect them. Now, we will enable the Self-Protect Jammer Pod, which will help us evade SAMs if needed. First, make sure that the autopilot is still active. Next, on the left MFCD select the Combat page. By clicking on the AAP panel, enable electric power for the SPJ pod, by clicking on the highlighted button. The SPJ pod will perform a bit test that lasts about 15 seconds. The bit test has finished. Now the SPJ pod is on standby mode, Type 1. The pod emits jamming only when we're radar locked by an emitter. Type 2. The pod emits jamming as soon as a radar begins tracking our aircraft. For this mission, leave it on Type 1 and press spacebar to continue. Forward. Emit only on the forward hemisphere. Backward. Emit only on the rear hemisphere. F+B. Emit in both directions. For this mission, leave it on forward and press spacebar to continue. The SPJ pod is now ready to use. You can start or stop the jamming with T2 forward on the HOTAS. The mode field will change from standby to JAM when the jammer is operating. Let's see if our LD-10 missiles have finished alignment. Select air-to-ground mode with the T1 down switch on the HOTAS. On the left MFCD, the align field should show 0 as remaining time. From now on, the only important parameter for firing our missiles is the mode. Basically, we will use mode ACT for the pre-planned targets with a fixed and known position. In our case, these will be the targets located at waypoints 5 and 6. For any other radar threat, we will use mode SP, self-protect. For now, set the mode to SP. Press space return to nav mode by clicking T2 middle on the HOTAS, or using the number 1 key. Also, since we are entering a combat zone, turn off the exterior lights by setting the exterior master switch to its mid position. The HSI is showing a SAM-6 radar head. Take the following steps. Switch to air-ground mode using the switch T2 down on the HOTAS. Confirm on the SMS that the selected LD-10 missile is set to SP mode. Don't fire towards it yet, as we may be still out of range. Wait until its radar is tracking you. Its icon will turn red.
Tracking, tracking, tracking. 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 Tracking, tracking, tracking.
The SAM-6 battery has fired towards us. Press T2 forward to enable the jammer. Turn to the right until the SAM symbol on the HSI is on SAM-6 radar at grid XQ98, destroyed. Now that the SAM battery is destroyed, head towards waypoint 5 and attack the radar site located there. We are within range of the early warning radar at waypoint 5, let's fire at it. Switch to nav mode, D1 middle, and select waypoint 05. Switch back to air-ground mode, D1 down. On the SMS, set the LD-10 missile to ACT mode, so it will target the current waypoint. Turn the aircraft towards the radar. Press button S3 on the HOTAS, to fire the missile. Waypoint 5, destroyed. Now that the first early warning radar is destroyed, head now towards waypoint 6 and attack the radar site located there. The HSI is showing a SAM-11 radar ahead. Take the following steps. Switch to air-ground mode using the switch T2 down on the HOTAS. Confirm on the SMS that the selected LD-10 missile is set to SP mode. Don't fire towards it yet, as we may be still out of range. Wait until its radar is tracking you, its icon will turn red. We are within range of the early warning radar at waypoint 6, let's fire at it. Switch to nav mode and select waypoint 06. Switch back to air-ground mode. On the SMS, set the LD-10 missile to ACT mode, so it can target the current waypoint. Turn the aircraft towards the enemy radar. Press button S3 on the HUDs, to fire the missile. Waypoint 6, destroyed. Now that the second early warning radar is destroyed, head towards waypoint 7 and attack the SAM battery located there.
Tracking, tracking, tracking.
We are too close to the SAM-11, let's launch an LD-10 towards it.
Tracking.
The checklist is, the SAM-11 battery has fired towards us. Press T2 forward to enable the jammer. Turn to the left, until the SAM symbol on the HSI is on our right. Try to visually detect the missile. When the missile is nearer, press D2 AFD to release chaff. Repeat if needed.
Tracking, tracking, tracking.
SAM-11 radar, at grid XQ14, destroyed.
Tracking, tracking, tracking.
Now that the SAM battery is destroyed, head towards waypoint 8 or 9 and return to our home airbase. Remember to turn the jammer off, with D2 forward. Since the distance towards the next waypoint is rather long, you can accelerate time with left control plus C. Be sure to set autopilot level first. You can return to normal time with left shift plus C. Also, we are now leaving the combat zone, so turn the external lights on by right-clicking the master light switch. To get onto the SMS page, now click on the Jet button, to get onto the Selective Jettison subpage. This is the Selective Jettison page, where you will select which stations to eject. On this case, select stations 3 and 5. They get marked with a small box. Press spacebar once both stations are selected.
Warning. Warning.
Anapa, in field, 1-1, inbound.
Enfield 1-1. Anapa, fly heading 074, 420. QFE 29.77. Runway 22 to pattern altitude. Enfield 1-1. Cleared for visual. Contact tower.
Anapa, in field, 1-1, request landing.
You have reached waypoint 9. Reduce speed and altitude. Turn right 180 degrees, towards Anapa. Perform a visual landing. Contact Anapa's ATC and request landing.
Enfield 1-1. Anapa, check landing gear. Runway 22.
Altitude, altitude, altitude.
Touchdown.